A minute. Yeah. So let's start. Aline, please introduce yourself.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I am Aline. I live here at São Miguel dos Milagres, Alagoas, and I am a product owner, and I work at School Conquer. It is at my name. And there is that. I'm married. Oh no, I have a little more. I am married. I have 6 cats too.
Oh,
Yes, and I love my cats.
I love cats too, but I have 2 and it's a lot of work. You know, I really wanted to have more, but 6 cats, a lot of work.
It is a lot. I
Yeah.
regret a little bit.
And you, João, can you introduce yourself, please?
Of course, my name is João Victor. I'm 22 years old. I do bachelor in biological science. I live in Rio de Janeiro. I don't have cats, but my cats stay in my apartment. I think that's it.
That's nice, thank you. And you, Ricardo?
Well, I'm Ricardo. I live at São Vicente. It's a small city of São Paulo state. It's south coast from São Paulo. And well, I'm married. I work at a telecommunications company. I'm married. I have a daughter. I love spending time with my friends and family. And well, I love movies. I think that's it.
Nice, thank you. And you, Rafael, please introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi guys. Sorry for I'm late. I'm Rafael. I'm 29 years old. I'm a lawyer, but now I'm a PhD candidate. I'm from São Paulo. Now I'm living in Paris for do my PhD, and I think that's it. It's a pleasure to be here. There was another question, or just introduce myself?
Just
like
introduce yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
For now. And you, Katerina?
Hello, guys. I'm Catherine, and I'm a little late, so I think I lost the question.
Yeah, so just introduce yourself.
So I'm Catherine. I'm 28 years old, and I'm studying biology. I've been studying in TNT. I think it's 2 weeks. So.
Oh, that's nice. Are you enjoying? Katalini, are you enjoying being here on TNT, studying English?
Yeah, I'm enjoying about 2 weeks.
Okay, so as we have 6 people, I will split us in small rooms. I think that will be better that way. Let me just. Yes. Oh, there's someone join now. Hi, Fernanda.
Hi.
How it's going?
Everything okay, and you?
Oh, everything okay here too. I am splitting housing in small rooms. Can you introduce yourself in this meantime?
Yes, my name is Fernanda. I live in São Paulo. I work in the financial area. I like watching TV, have a time with my family, and learn new languages.
Okay, that's nice. So guys, here with me will be Aline and Rafael, and then João, Catarini, and Fernanda will go to the breakout room, okay? So let me open. Let me share the questions again. So if you received the invite, please join to the breakout room. Okay. So let's start. The first question is, do you like reading and what are your favorite genres and why? Rafael, can you start, please?
Yeah, I like reading. Normally I love the roman. But I don't have a specific a type of read. So normally I would like to read more, but my job is reading, so I spend most of my time in reading books of law. So, but I try to read the Roman normally the classics. Or the books that friends of me say to me that's good. So, for example, the last book that I read is Torturado, and I love it. But normally, I prefer, when I choose, I prefer the classics because I know that's good.
Yeah, and as a lawyer, you read a lot, right? So.
Yes, especially because my but it's not so interesting for the most of people. It's my research and.
Yeah, okay, no problem. And you, Fernanda, do you like reading and what are your favorite genres?
I like reading. My favorite genre is suspense. I like romance too. And normally I try to read when I have a time.
Yeah, okay. And I like reading too. I like fiction books, but not like with spaceships. I just like fiction books that tells histories that never happened. And I think that is my I don't know the translation, but memoirs. I think that's like an autobiography, but people, yeah, it's kind of, I really enjoy those kind of books. And you, Aline?
Well, I like read, but I don't read so much. I confess that. I'm reading right now a book that calls No, I don't know how to translate that, but non-violent communication. I don't know. Yes, and it is a very interesting book. I like to read books that I will learn something with that book, and I think that I wish I wish I would read more, but
Yeah.
I don't read so much.
Sometimes they take too long to finish a book, like months, and it's a simple book. Sometimes it's hard to finish one. So, do you read as a hobby to spend time or because you need to? For me, it's a hobby. I don't, I have some technical books for my area that I need to read, but I don't like it. I think that it's harder to study with books because you don't have like the Google to search everything that you want. And I like to read like lay in my bed or in my couch or something like this. And you, Fernanda?
For me, it's the same. I don't like to read books related to my area. Normally, I read as a hobby.
Okay. And you, Rafael?
For me, it's the both. So I read because I need, and and I think it's good to me. Now I read as a hobby, but in the beginning it's more. I need. It's good. All the people do that, and now there is no so much time that I do that with a pleasure, because normally to me it was linked with the it's important to read, and it's good to know about it. And normally I studied the book. It's hard to me just read and not how to say read a critique about the book. And for me it's new, but now I can appreciate a book as a hobby. But it was a construction for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. And you, Aline?
I think I read more technical things about my work. Is the place that I read more. And when I am in lines or in waiting rooms, I read a lot, and I read things that is not for my work. I read another things.
For me, sometimes I like to read books, technical books that is not for my area. For example, I read a book about design. That is not my area. I work with technology, but I really love this book. But I think that for my area, I have a kind of prejudice because I think, oh, it would be so boring. I don't want to.
What is your field? Do you
I work
work?
with data engineering and development. I am also a Python developer. Yeah. So sometimes I see some books, I think, oh no, I don't want this. But I will try. I will try someday. So which kind of books do you have on your bookshelf, Aline?
Oh my God, I have
It
a
don't
lot
need
of
to
books.
be physical. It can be like a folder on your computer. You know, I know that it's possible.
I like physical books. Do you
Yeah.
believe that? Yes. And I have a lot of books. I have my wife has a lot of books too, and I confess that I read more of her books than mine.
Okay. So, and what are the genres of those books?
Well, and we have a lot of things about data. She's a data product manager, so I am learning about data too. And I have a lot of things about design and business. I am a product owner, so I studied a lot in this area, in this field.
Oh, that's amazing. I always think that it's really cool when we have a couple that work in kind of the same area, because product owners also are technology, right? I think
Yes,
that's really cool.
it's nice. You can talk about our
Yeah,
house.
I can imagine. And you, Fernanda?
In my case, I have more physical books, and I have related to the gender of novels and suspense too.
Okay. And you, Rafael?
Me, I have a big how to say I forgot bookshelf, and but it's about the normally the books of law and philosophy, but it's bigger my digital bookshelf. I don't know how so because I'm addicted in the how to say in the download the books that I never will read, but just imagine it that I will. It's good to me. It's a little bit. I have many files in my computer with the different books in the different areas, and it's like that. But normally my books is about history, philosophy, sociology, and main about law.
Yeah, I am like you. I have more digital books. I have a Kindle, so I always download a lot of books and then keep on a folder on my computer. And I like books about fiction. I like books about self-help books, but not those kind that everyone says to that we need to read, just kind of more psychological self-help books. I like those about habits. I love talking about, organization. So these are the kind of books that I have on my bookshelf. And what is your favorite book and why? For me, it's Educated. It's a memory book about Tara Westover that she talks about her history, and it seems like a fiction because it's a lot of things is not like it don't seem real, but it's a really good book that she talks about how the education transformed her life. And you, Rafael, what is your favorite book and why?
It's difficult, but I think it's Memórias Póstumas de Brás Cubas, because it was the first contact with Machado de Assis. It was to me, I didn't understand, but it doesn't matter to me, and it was really, really good. And after I could study the reasons with a teacher, it was to me magic in the. So that's my favorite book, I think.
Okay, and you, Fernanda?
For me, I think it's a book called A Cidade do Sol. This book I read when I was a child, and it was really sad. So, and the story made me think a lot of things related to our reality and how the women had more rights according to the time. So for me, it's my favorite.
Okay. It's really, really cool how you suggest books for people. Like it make me really sad and it make me really cry. And you, Aline?
Well, I don't know if I have a favorite one. But there is one that I read recently that I think was very cool for me, and they are called Essentialismo. I don't know the word in English to translate, but it's a very nice book. I learn a lot.
Yeah, I always see people suggesting this book. It seems really good too. It's all on my reading list. I never read it yet, but I want to read someday.
It's very fast to read.
Yeah, I will, how can I say this? Bring to the front to start reading this one. 6, what are the characteristics of a good book for you, and what makes you add a book to your bookshelf? Aline?
Oh my God. I think a book must, I like to read easy things. I already did law and I left the the studies because I think it's a very, very annoying, very complicated. There is a very specific language in the law world, and I like to read books that are easy, they're fast to read, they're when you don't realize if you already read 40 pages in 1 hour. I think that when that happened, it is very nice book for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I am not like Rafael in this part. I tried to read Memórias Póstumas de Brás Cubas, but it was so hard. I saw a lot of words and it's really because you need to focus on reading and also understanding what you're saying, and it's really hard. For me, to add a book on my bookshelf, I need, the book needs to be emotional. I love emotional books. Then people say you are crying. I think, okay, so I read this book. And also when I know that I will learn something, doesn't mean a book that wants to teach me something, but I will learn something with like the experience of the characters. I think that this made me add a book on my bookshelf. And you, Rafael?
That's a hard question. I think there is no. It's impossible list just some characteristics of a good book. But to me, my favorite, I think, for now, it's when I can realize that that book, that there are so many things that I can't understand, but in this, but I imagine it in my, so discovery that it's to me a pleasure. But it's in the same time, I love the other types of book that it's just how to say, it's more not easy, but it's more easy to understand. So understand in the, it's more fluid. So and it's emotional too. So it's hard, but so normally for add a book in my bookshelf it's just a recommendation about other people. I love that. Or when I read the title, or and I think I imagine it, the subject, or when I know the author. So it's I do that, like I add a book for that reasons.
Okay, and where do you find recommendations? Do you ask for your friends, or do you search on the internet? I always search on Twitter, on threads on Twitter, and it's where I found my recommendations. Where do you find yours?
Me, it's normal. It's normally when talking about, I talking about with the friends, and oh, you read some book now, and normally the people said that now too, the people love to publish what they read in the social medias. So it's a how to say, it's a subject of the conversation. So normally I do like that. And for my research, I have the other methods, like especially when a book talking about another book. So it's like that I choose. But especially with a normal conversation with the close friends.
Yeah, I love books that quotes other books because it can increase my bookshelf. And also I love people that share what they are reading on social media. You know, it's so easy for me to find new books. And what about you, Fernanda?
For me, I think a good book is one that I can read a lot of time and I don't see the time passing. I don't like books that has like a lot of details. I don't like, because I get lost. And about adding a book to my bookshelf, I think if I like the story, what I read about the book, I probably will try to read it. That's it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the books that I read, I don't know if the same happens with you, but for example, books that we have histories, fictions, or non-fiction, it's always when I think that is something related to my history, you know, I can relate to my history, is always something that I enjoy in a book, and I always learning too with another experience. This is really good. Question number 7, tell us something you learned from a book that changed your life. Aline, do you want to start?
Yes, I have one. And when I was younger, I read Get Things Done. It is a very nice book, and that changed my life. I am another person after I read this book, and I learned some things that I use today in my life. For example, if I receive something that I must do, I always think will take more than 2 minutes for me doing this. If the answer is no, I do this thing right now. And there is another techniques that I learned in this book that I use today. It's a very nice book. I recommend.
Yeah, I always see people talking about this methodology, and this is really good. And about this, sometimes we just procrastinate things, and it's really easy to do. And we just procrastinate because, I don't want to think about it right now. And this technique is really good. And what
It
about you?
works.
Yeah. Imagine, I need to apply this to my life. And what about you, Fernanda?
I normally don't read a lot of technical books, so I will mention one that I read that has a sad story. It's called O Menino no Alto da Montanha. This book tells a story related to the Nazism time. So it made me think about how I can relate with other people, like closer, like friends and family. And in the story, the boy started to not treat well his family, because he got in the idea of the Nazism. It had a lot of prejudice with the others. So it made me reflect a lot of things, how we can deal with the different people. So that's why I choose this one. Normally I don't read the technical books, difficult books.
Yeah, I think that other books can also, change your life.
Yeah.
Sometimes books for example, my nephew has books for kids, and I always read this and I think, oh, this is so deep. I have a book called Emocionário that is for kids, but it tells about emotions, describe emotions, and you see and you think there has so much emotions in the world, and I think that we just have 3 or 4, I just describe everything as sad, happy, or angry. And what about you, Rafael?
Yeah, no. When I talk about the change my life, it's so, how to say, deep, but I just can't imagine it. I remember the 2 books that feel that I feel same. It's Capitães de Areia, Jorge Amado, and when I learned French, A Vida pela Frente, de Romain Gary. To me, it's the same feel, because both of books is about the child in a bad situation, but it was really good, and that's emotional books. And I in the first time I cried reading a book, it was a different experience to me, and it changed my life to be a more how to say emotional guy. It's and the feel, and I have to read the Emocionário. I don't know how to say that.
Emocionário.
I think that's important to me now. So, but I remember the both of Capitães da Areia and A Vida pela Frente. To me, it was the 2 books that marked my life, and I remember all the time, and I recommend it.
I read it, Capitães de Areia, and it's a really good book. Recently I saw a study that books, when we read books, it change areas on our brain that we kind of live this experience, not intense as we are living, but we kind of live this experience, and your brain changed because of this. So when we are reading an experience of another person, we are living this experience. For our brain, we are kind of living this experience. So yeah, books always change us. Yeah, books always change us. For me, something that I learned from a book, it's not a quote, but it's a book that I read recently, that is Brit Marie Esteve Aqui, that you always have time to change your life. It's a book about a woman that separated of her husband and went to a country city to live there when people doesn't have hope and those things, and she finds friends and love there. And I think that it's good because sometimes we think that when we get older, we don't have more time. And this book, it's really good to show that we always have time to live new experience and to change our life. So I really enjoyed this book. Question 8. Do you think movie adaptations are different from the books, and why? I don't know how to answer this question. I know that I created this, but I want to see your answers, because I not usually read books and see the movie adaptations. For example, Harry Potter, I never watched Harry Potter. But I read it one book of Harry Potter, so I'm not sure how it works. So how about you, Rafael? Do you think that movie adaptations are different from the books?
Yeah, I think there are I think that the both is the different types of arts. So it's a different language, the different communications, and to me it's I can, because normally to me when I read, it's more, you spend more time, it's more intense in the that's a relationship more, how to say that took more time. So I think normally, because to me it's the book, it's so much better than the movie. It's hard normally when we read a book and after we watch a film. But to me, I love to think that's the different arts. And for example, I love O Alto da Compadecida, and I read after the book, and it was good. It was different, but that is not exclusive. How to say that don't. I don't know how to say in English. Me proíbe to appreciate the film, and it's so good to me, both, but it's different, and you have to accept that to me.
Yeah, I didn't know that Alto da Compadecida had a book.
It's a peça de teatro. I don't know how to say that in English, but you can find that in a book. It's published, and it's so many interesting too.
Oh, that's really good. I added this here on my list. I am adding all the books that you are saying here. And what about you, Aline?
Well, I think it's a very different things. How Rafael said, it is two different types of language. So I already read books and see some movies, and I like both. I think there are, in fact, they are different things. So you can't compare the things. Of course, you will compare because you read the book and you're seeing the movie. But I think it's very nice. I read all the books of Harry Potter and I see all the movies, and I don't think that how can I say that? No, it's not leaves, but don't I don't know, don't the book doesn't become bad after I see the movie.
Yeah, I think sometimes people criticize because they hope to see something about the book that they enjoyed in the movie, and you create a lot of expectations. But I agree, it's a different kind of arts, and movies are visual, and books you can imagine more things, and movies are giving you all the things that you can see. So and what about you, Fernanda?
I think it depends on the movie, maybe, and it can be different because the book has a lot of details, and maybe the movie cannot have all the scenes that a book has. So I think it's more different because of that, because the movie has less time, maybe.
Yeah, I agree with you. They need to synthesize some things from the book, and from the book there has no limits for it. So yeah, it's a good point. Good point. So question number 9. A reader lives 1,000 lives before he dies. The man who never reads lives only one. Do you agree with this sentence? Why? Rafael, can you answer this one? I think you are muted.
Okay, I will repeat. So I didn't understand yet. A reader lives 1,000 lives before he die. The man who never reads lives. It's so intense. I'm totally agree, but no, it's not. But it's because when we read, we can imagine it another life. I'm a type of guy that I'm a dreamer. So I have to do things too, but I love to imagine it, the other lives, and I think that read a book, it's especially the literature. I don't know how to say that. It's so interesting because we can imagine it another life, another world. So to me, in the base, I'm not a lawyer, a contemporary lawyer, a researcher. I love the history of law because that's can. It's more how to say, when I see the past, the past, I can imagine it another future because I can realize that the past is different the present, and so the present can be different of the future. And when I read literature, it's more powerful in that sense because I can imagine it another a totally different society. So it's, to me, that sentence make me imagine that. So it's, to me, it's that's the meaning of that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree. And what about you, Aline?
Well, I agree with the sentence. Of course, it is a very, when we are reading, can imagine things, we can live another lives and do that. And for me, it's a very, I'm a very concrete person, so I have to do this exercise to be more imaginative person. I don't know, would be great. So I think the books can take me there.
Yeah, I agree. And you, Fernanda?
I agree with the sentence. I think when we read, we get feelings like from the characters from the book. So I think it maybe can make us feel like has a lot of lives. That's it.
Yeah, I always talk to my therapist that my therapy looks a book club because I always read a book and then I go like saying, oh, I discover a lot of things in this book with other people's experience, and I always talking about some book that I read, and this was really good for me. So I agree with the sentence too. I think it's really important, you know. Sometimes you are, I don't know if it is like, I can say a bubble in English, but sometimes we have like the same life with people that we are close with. And when we read a book, we can understand other people's life without needing to ask it, you know. Sometimes you need to ask people and need to know people to understand it. But when you read a book, you can have more of this. So the last question, it's kind of the 8th question too. So what is the difference between reading a book and watching a movie? I think that we already answered this one. So I want to ask you, what make you dislike a book? So which are the kind of books that you dislike and why, and you know, those things. What are the kind of book that you don't like to reading? Rafael, do you want to answer this one?
To me, it's for my research, when I read a book that is not so much deep. So that's a reason for dislike a book, but in the literature, normally it's more. It's not the book to me. It's more when the moment of my life don't let me understand that book, or don't let me when I tired. So that's the reason normally when I give up of a book, but. It's so, how to say, it's so, I have a pleasure when I give up when I dislike a book, but and another time I read again and I like it. For example, I read Cidade as Serras of Essa de Queiroz, and it's a boring book because it's so many how to say repetitivo. So, but when I could read, it was interesting because there are so much description and so much detail, and it was so hard to do that, and I could appreciate. But to me, it's more when you ready to read, then the book is not good or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. Giving a second chance, it could be good sometimes. And what about you, Fernanda?
I think I don't have a gender that I don't like. But when the book it's like always the same thing, and I don't like. And when the story doesn't make me think, the story is like foolish, I don't like also.
Yeah. And you, Aline?
For me, it is when I'm reading a very technical book that I can understand nothing. Oh my God, I read and I read and I read. And when I was reading about 20 pages and I don't understand a thing, I will drop this book.
Yeah, for me too. I think that books that doesn't have like a language, a easy language, is not easy to read for me. I always drop this book because I don't like it. And also technical books for me is really hard to read. Technology most because they have a lot of sometimes mathematicians expressions, and it's, how do you read this? You see, how do you read it? It's impossible. It doesn't have. It's not possible. So this makes me give up on a book. I always like to read easy things, that I can just enjoy reading, not thinking a lot about what those things mean. So I think that's it. Another question that I want to ask you is that if you are reading a book and someone tells you the whole history, the final of the book, the whole plot, do you keep reading or do you drop your reading? Aline, do you answer this one?
The first one, I yellow with these people. Oh my God, why did you do that? And after that, I think I will finish a book. If a good book that I am engaged in the book, I will finish independent if I know or not the end of the book.
Yeah, and you, Rafael?
No, I'm finished the book, but the first how to say feel, I don't know, the first act is no, why did you do that? So for the people, because now I'm more, how to say, calm with that, because early I really don't like the spoiler. So especially when the people talking about a book to me, it's just the general things, and they said, oh, it's good, you have to read that. But now I'm more flexible, I don't know, flexible, because especially with the series, I don't like the spoilers, the film, and but when that comes, I finish the read and watching too.
Yeah, for me, I think that I would finish too, because reading a book is all, we have a lot of things until the end, but I would be really angry about this. When my mom recommended me a book, I asked her, what is the history? And then she started talking about the whole book. She doesn't know how to explain how the things work. So she talks about everything, and I say, please don't do this. I don't start a book that I know what will be the end. But if I am reading something and I am enjoying and I see, because when I am reading a book, I search a lot of things on Twitter, and sometimes you search and you find the final of the book, and it happens, but I try not to do it. And what about you, Fernanda?
About me, I really don't like when the person do that. And I would finish the book. As you said, there is a lot of history until the end. So I think if you are already reading, go ahead and finish it.
Yeah, I agree. And the final question is, there has some author that you enjoy reading, like all the books, and you like the style of writing of this author? Rafael, do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, Machado de Assis, to me, it's the best. It's a good influence for that teacher, but to me, it's always good. Now I discovering more about not the books, the romance books, but the contos. I don't know how to say that in English. It's incredible. It's hard, but it's to me it's incredible. Now I know too in France, Romain Gary. It's to me it's really interesting too, and to me it's the only author that I think now. But I recommend. Well, all the people that don't give up Machado de Assis. It's incredible. It's incredible.
It's a classical, so I think that it worth it to give a chance. Sometimes it's hard, but you need to try. It's important. But
Try
it's good
again,
to know
try
that you are favorite writer.
Yeah.
And what about you, Aline?
Oh my God, Fael, you're a very special person that like Machado de Assis. I already read Machado de Assis too, and it was interesting reading. But my favorite one is Fernando Sabino. It is very easy to read, very nice, very light. Yes, I like so much.
Yeah,
It's so funny too.
Funny.
I remember O Grande Mentecapto. It was really good.
My favorite one is the boy on the mirror. Oh, in Portuguese is O Menino no Espelho.
Meu espelho, anotei aqui já. Okay, and what about you, Fernanda?
For me, I think I don't know how to say in English, John Bond, the guy who wrote Menino do Pijama Listrado. I like the way he writes. I think it like gets me in the stories. So that's why I like his books.
Oh, that's really nice. For me, I like Frederick Beckman. I think that is Frederick Beckman. He wrote Pretty Maria Esteve Aqui, and I know that all the books that I will read of him, I will enjoy it because it's really easy to read and tells a history in a really emotional way that I like. So yeah, for me, I think that it's my favorite writer. So I think that's it. We need to wait until Ricardo and João, I think Catherine dropped the meeting, join. Let me see here. Okay. I want to send you the survey, but I think that our back office is not working. Okay, no problem. And Rafael, do you like Machado de Assis? What is your favorite book of him? Memórias Póstumas de Brás Cubas? Is the one that you will suggest for us to read as the first reading?
To me, it's the better because of the trilogy, but Quincas Borbas, Memórias Póstumas de Brás Cubas e Dom Casmurro. That's my favorite, but the three it was really interesting, and I don't know because to me it's cool because the chapters so short, so you can read and I can't how to say stop because normally it's just another and the finish it's good. For example, to me I remember on chapter of the Memórias Póstumas that it's just the points. And I see that, and I said no. The authors talking about what's and just after I realized with a teacher that's about the sex. It's a relationship between the people, and it was so magic discovery after. So to me, when I try to understand and when I read, but when I don't understand, I imagine in my mind and I move on, and and after to me it's a pleasure to research about the book after watching on the YouTube the explanation about the professor. So to me it's all that it's incredible. And when the teacher said, and I try to find that in the book, to me it's so good too.
Yeah, so this is a whole journey for you, right? It's not just reading, but researching and understanding more. I think that it's
but I have to say that I'm a little bit how to say masochista, because my master degree I studied the books in Latin, and I don't read Latin. So it's normally I spend my day in one journey in 2 pages. So it's but it's different. But I love to do that.
yeah, but if you like it's okay. I will
No,
never
it's
do
okay.
it in a page, studying a page, but it seems cool.
Yeah.
And Ricardo and João, how was the conversation on the breakout room?
Well, it was nice. I confess that I don't read much. Sometimes I don't have enough time, but it's necessary to create a routine, because I was talking with João, and during the day is difficult, and at the end of the day is sometimes there are some space in my agenda, but when I try to read, I immediately sleep. It's necessary read during the day. It's the same thing happened when I was watching TV after the 8 p.m. It's difficult. I sleep immediately. So that's it.
Our body's tired, right? So it's really hard to think at night.
Yeah.
For me, it never works.
Sure.
And you, João, how was the conversation for you? Did you enjoy it? Do you have some book to recommend to us?
Yeah. The conversation was very good. I enjoy it. So I think the opinions were very good, and I learned that books change life. It's quite different when watch TV or a movie, and you don't feel sleep. And when you read a book, you have sleep, feel sleepy now. Now, no, instantâneo. I don't know this word. The Ricardo words. So I think that's it.
Okay, so thank you for sharing. That's it for this immersion today. Thank you all. Hope you have a great day and great week, and hope to see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.